Where are you guys? Oh, you guys are
Pioneer
on the green
research.
Look how beautiful she is. Look how
Over
pretty.
here. Naji,
So
get over
pretty.
here. Like, you know that one clip of the kid that's just like smothering himself in Markiplier's chest? That's me.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was his cousin.
What? Since New Year's 2024, if you had asked me what my favorite player versus player game was, I'd tell you it's Identity 5. Made in 2018 by Joker Studios and NetEase Games, Identity 5 is an asymmetrical horror game similar to Dead by Daylight with a team versus player gameplay loop. There are two different factions, the 4-person team side, or the survivors, and the one player, the hunter. Think of it like a game of tag, with a few extra steps. Both sides have a goal to reach. For survivors, it's to decode the cipher machine scattered on the map and escape, ideally having 2 or more people escaping, and the hunter's goal is to prevent that from happening, typically by putting them on rocket chairs. Each survivor can be on a rocket chair for a maximum of 3 times. Most survivors have a halfway bar on their chair, except for one special case, Edgar Valden or the painter. If a survivor is rescued by a teammate after the 50% point, the next time they are in chair, they die immediately. If the rescue is before 50% and the previously chaired survivor goes on chair again, the time left on the chair is set at the halfway point. After the second chair rescue, if the chaired survivor is chaired for a third time, they're sent back to the manor and can no longer play in the round, electing to either spectate or run around as a ghost. Both sides have a lot of stuff at their disposal, survivors having unique items or abilities, as well as palace and windows, and hunters having their own built-in abilities and traits to help with chase or cipher pressure. Though it sounds like survivors have more to work with, in an ideal world, the hunter and survivors are equally matched. The hunter's ability is more powerful than the survivor's in many cases, may it be by a shorter cooldown or the effect itself. Both sides have what is called a persona web. A web of skills that are pick and choose to the person's liking, though specific characters run specific skills better than the others. Each faction has their main 4 skills, survivors having borrowed time, knee-jerk reflex, tide turner, and the flywheel effect, while hunters have detention, trump card, insolence, and confined space. On the web, there are also offshoots, which is where most customization of the builds come in. Hunters are all in one class, Hunter. However, survivors have 4 main classes, some survivors falling into 2 of these, which are Contain, Assist, Rescue, and Decode. These names are generally straightforward, and characters are usually classed correctly. IDV Tournament has been around since the very first Call of the Abyss season, and has been going strong for about 7 years. Call of the Abyss, or KOA, is an international annual tournament with a cash prize at the end. The honors of being KOA champion is a tantalizing one that through 7 years, only 4 teams have won. It functions differently than typical IDV, both teams being able to ban and pick maps, as well as a global ban system. First 3 survivors of the round are banned from being used for the rest of the round, and the system applies to the hunter too. Those are round bans, which the survivor and hunters personally choose each round, the hunter always having 4 bans, and the survivors gain 1 hunter ban in round 2 and another one in round 3. KOA is different from casual gameplay. In tournaments, the teams are typically optimized to fit the map, the meta, and what does well against the predicted hunter. IDV meta grows every single year and affects everyone who plays it, regardless of faction and regardless if it's professional or casual. Sometimes a new hunter or survivor is released that completely shakes up how people play the game. The game, for years, was notoriously survivor-sided, trying to fix the faults of Dead by Daylight's gameplay loop, but instead causing another problem. Eventually, it was balanced, and then, on a debatably fateful day, March 21st, 2024, a new hunter was released, Ivy, or the Shadow. She was difficult on everyone, hard to kite, hard to play, and hard to survive. You typically want to look behind you as a survivor when you're being pursued, making sure you don't get terror shocked while interacting with something, or simply to see how far away the hunter is. Ivy changed that. When against an Ivy, you build up something called corrosion. Corrosion is increased by looking at her and quickly. This knocked majority of the harassers such as Forward, Antiquarian, and Batter out of the meta, and some supports like Seer, Painter, and Novelist out as well. Harassers, aside from Prospector, need to look at the hunter to land their stuns, and Novelist, Painter, and Seer need to look at the hunter to get their respective items back or to even begin creating their item. This shake of the meta caused a lot of outrage. A lot of players think that she's feeding into bad habits, while some hunter mains were ecstatic that she came out, glad that some annoying characters were out of the way. I joined slightly before Ivy was released, and I was still new to the game when she was. She terrified me. Her mere presence or the threat of it was horrible for me, but as soon as her season rolled out and the new season in, less people played her. And all there was left was the people who got good at her. Like, really good. She's gotten nerfed 14 times in the last year, which has not shook her from her spot in the top 5 hunters in the entire game. The game, since then, has only gotten progressively more hunter-sided, releasing less and less good survivors and more brain-dead or cheesy hunters like the 2 best hunters at the time of writing this, Goatman, or Jeffrey Bonavita, and Hullabaloo. Both, unless you're a professional player, have dedicated hours of time learning how to kite these two hunters, are insanely difficult to win against. Both being able to stuff rescues, cut off kiting areas, and if they can't stuff your rescue, don't expect it to be before half. This is where the meta stands today, and professionals got it on lock, but casual players do not. IDV is ever changing, and taking a year off the game can give you whiplash. The top hunters of the meta, Goatman, Hollow Blue, Opera Singer, IDV, and Dreamwitch, are all difficult to deal with, and majority of them are difficult to play, save from Hollow Blue, which is just all cheese. And more importantly, outside of Dreamwitch, they were all effectively released back to back. There's very little rest time for survivors to learn the new characters, making the meta difficult to catch up with, and the recent underwhelming survivor picks aren't helping. Just because something was played in a tourney does not mean they are good. April 30th, 2024 is the last time they released a Survivor, which is good in a lot of situations. Beyond that, survivors were always insanely niche or incredibly easy to outplay. Regis Sterling War of the Night, for example. He's niche, however, his nicheness isn't inherently a flaw. Instead, it's how easy it is for him to be outplayed by some hunters. Hunters like Goatman, Wax Artist, Ivy, Sangria, Bonbon, or Hullblue could easily outplay him. The meta has changed into something that they wanted to prove on when making IDV, which is really unfortunate. The constant of the meta works well for competition, but it does nothing but hinder casual players. Most players do not play meta, opting for characters with a backstory that intrigues them or a design or costume they like. By only ever learning how to play from the tourney scene is detrimental. Survivors being unable to deal with niche hunter picks such as Ripper, Joseph, or even popular picks that you do see in comp often, just in their most optimized sense, such as Naiad, Geisha, or Wax Artist. Hunters, on the other hand, may overthink every action. That one mistake will throw the game. When they aren't in comp, the mistake was fine, the missed blank was okay, you can still recover. As well as there's not a lot of resources for people who want to properly learn non-meta characters. I know that when I was learning Gravekeeper or Andrew Kreis, before he was considered meta, there was very little resources because you just simply didn't see him in a lot of professional settings. It's good to play meta. It's good to learn how to play against meta, but a lot of players learn from viewing, and when there's very little resources to watch of not recent non-meta picks, it makes that way of learning harder. And I know a lot of IDV players get easily frustrated or irritated when they just don't know how to combat a character.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you
Ooh.
kidding me? Are you 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 kidding me? Can you stop? Like, actually, like, all you do, all day, all you do, you jork it and you bust on people because that's all you can do. That's all you do. You cheese, you bust, and you freeze people because your gameplay is literally just point and click. And it's insane to me how people even feel good about themselves playing you because you are so incredibly cheesy and the amount of skill you need to play him is zero. And I take
Why do I have three
very
people
high
on?
offense that you have the audacity to
Yes,
cheer.
paired with the Steam issues of constantly watching professional or even just players with the highest skill level makes a lot of people simply give up on learning, either being too stubborn to accept that they have bad habits while playing, or they simply stop playing after it gets too overwhelming, not having the time to keep playing. Jade, or as we refer to them, Nut, started playing IDV in 2020. However, took a break for about a year and a half. Nut was really into IDV during Koa 4, and since they were there when it was going on, I asked them about the meta back then and how it differs from the current meta. Here's what they had to say. When you first came back, it was a during like opera, hermit, and puppeteer meta specifically,
Yep.
which was insane, which probably was like an insane shift from what you were like used to from before you left.
Mm,
Because I mean, hermit was released at the time, but he was hermit.
yeah.
Um, so like
I already said
was
my thoughts on Hermit before. Sorry.
what's your like what was was there any like whiplash of any sort because of
It
how different the meta was?
it definitely was because it I'm s- I I'm sorry to say this, it was just so incredibly boring. It was really, really, really boring. I'm sorry to you because I know you're an opera fan. She's great, Sangria's great, but I came back. I played casual for a couple months, but I'm like, I need to catch up on the meta. It's been a fat minute since I've caught up with the meta. I look and it's like, Sangria, Ivy, Sangria, Ivy, Sangria, Ivy, and more Sangria, more Ivy, and
Oh,
it's
the
like,
wax.
oh my goodness, yeah, and occasional wax.
It's
I
all really
need some
boring.
I need some dead. And compared to like I'm gonna use the first Koa I ever experienced as a frame of reference because that was when I was most locked in for learning more about the game because I also had the rank team there.
Hmm.
They were pretty deep into comp and they were the ones who got me to watch all of this stuff. When I was playing, Koa 4's meta was Dreamwitch, Sculptor, incredibly strong, map control hunters, Dreamwitch and Sculptor are by no means bad hunters today, but a lot of adjustments that have been made kind of push them out of the meta, and also they're just better selections now. But um, what made that interesting is because Dreamwitch, like I'm gonna say Dreamwitch specifically because I feel like Galatea, particularly at full presence, is honestly kind of brain dead. Um,
She's really cheesy.
because it's just a whole yeah, it's cheesy. It's what it is. But like watching hunters like Dreamwood, she's not an easy hunter to master. There are so many things to keep track of, but when you see people really master that map control and maximize everything Dreamwitch has to offer, it's insane seeing her at her max potential that it knocks like other previously strong characters like Bloody Queen, like release Bloody Queen by the way, out of the meta because her BQ's map control cannot compare to Dreamwitch. And same thing with Sculptor, hence why Sculptor like heavily replaced Bloody Queen in terms of meta compared to the Koa before Koa
Hmm.
4, Koa 3. Because Sculptor counters tight kiting. She can pressure off ciphers, better control, and also her full presence. I kind of don't need to explain that. She is a bit of a snowball hunter. Well, she was a bit of a snowball hunter at the beginning, um, which was a little bit boring. Although, despite KOF4 kind of revolving around that, that still didn't really stop hunters from like, uh, let's see, like Bane. Like his hook isn't as bad as it is today, but honestly, like that hook got him around the map fast. Like hunters that could move around fast, which honestly is comparable to modern day meta,
Hmm.
because especially with survivors back in that day, like Tracy before she was um in the
Rest in
state she is
peace.
today.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Tracy Resnick. I love you, girl. Honestly, that bot, even though like her debuffs, it was all made up because of her bot.
Yeah.
Even if she was on chair, the game could still go on exactly the same because of that damn bot. But that's why you need hunters that have good map pressure. It can scare everyone out,
Yeah.
get them to rotate, get them to go away from ciphers, like prolong endgame, whatever, whatever. Opera and Ivy, they follow the same principles theoretically, but not in the same sense as Galatea and Dreamwitch did because their kits are inherently like release opera was insane because she was just always on your ass. She was so fast, fast palette breaking. Opera is always productive. She will always be on your ass before her nerfs at least. Ivy, do I need to explain? Oh, I'm Ivy. Let me bring some insolence. Oh, I have presence now. Okay, you can't look behind you while you're kiting, and then I can go teleport to the other side of the map and prevent that last life from being popped because I'm Ivy. Which is honestly like, I guess it's fun to watch, but it's like if that's all you can offer me, that's cheesy. I can't sit through that, and I didn't sit through that. I fell asleep, unironically, catching up with the meta. But now, when I came back, I feel like there's just no real way to like I don't think there was any real counterplay to that sort of thing, at least before their nerfs.
Hmm.
Sure, you can palette spam opera all you like, but then what are you gonna have for endgame?
Yeah.
But
There's
whatever.
your
But
rebound's like totally not there if you
and
palette
also
spam her.
keep in mind with time, naturally these hunters will just become less meta because people will just figure out how to counter them. Like for example, Opera, yeah, kiting out into places where you know she can't dash, force her out of her shadow form, harass pallets, whatever, la la la, mind game.
Yep.
Ivy, high key, just don't feed her presence and play prospector. Stay blessed. But that's also um why hunters like Dreamwitch and Galatea fall out of meta. That's why a lot of hunters fall out of meta because time just passed them by and they didn't age well because character or people just learned how to counter them,
Hmm.
or new characters came out to counter them. But anyways,
The meta is ever changing, but it has its moments of stagnance, and that's the reprieve players get. However, during these change periods, new characters are made meta, and sometimes they're the least likely picks. Postman or Victor Grants, for example. July of 2024, he got two buffs. If the person he was sending the letter to goes down before it could reach them, the letter is returned and the cooldown is reset. And his dog Wick has a pounce move, which previously only slowed the hunter, not a hindrance for some, and instead it started making the hunter enter a 1 second stun animation followed by 2.5 seconds of slowness. A small stun, however, made a big difference. The stun itself is enough to keep a hunter in a pallet, and the slowness is detrimental for plenty of the meta hunters who rely on their speed. From one of the worst survivors to a first round pick in just one season. Some survivors have really good skills, however, their faults are too big to ignore. The aforementioned painter, for example. Edgar's rescue main's godsend, as long as they know what they're doing. He has no half time on his chair, as I've mentioned before. Combine that with full snooze, chair time increased by 9%, and a suicide build, flywheel and knee jerk, and you're golden. The fact that you can rescue whenever without worry is amazing for tough games like Ivy or Goatman, but there's a catch. The rest of his kit is horrible. To get stuns, he needs to be close and looking at the hunter, and then he can start creating the stun, which takes roughly 12 seconds total, and then he can place it down, making a 3.5 second stun, and then he needs to make another one, and that's it. He's out of resources. Hope he enjoys the chair, because he's not getting rescued unless the hunter leaves. An incredibly powerful passive trait, juxtaposed with his useless kit, and yet he is still a first round pick. Even against the only hunter that hard counters him, he is played, just because of how strong that single skill is. All characters are incredibly different, most with their own niches and their best maps or builds. Let's compare this to Dead by Daylight, which is almost like a father game to it. Half of the Survivor roster is too niche to consider playing, and a lot of maps are overly catered towards the killers, which is why DBD never had a comp scene. Killer bans all the best of survivors, leaving them with a crapshoot, and the better the crapshoot is then globally banned. This isn't to say DBD is inherently bad, perhaps unbalanced, however, it's worth looking at when talking about the balance of IDV and its meta. IDV has enough good survivors that even after the bans, the hunter still needs to try, because you can't just ban every single good character. You only have 4 slots. As well as, the game is considerably more fast paced than DBD, which makes it a perfect fit for esports, as the games, unless you're playing specific hunters that have an entire gimmick of lengthening the game, such as Ivy, Joseph, or Hermit, the games are often under 8 minutes. Of course, this from a professional standpoint, so what about casual play? In casual IDV, everyone is still learning more so than a professional is. People have their favorite characters to play, and some people only know how to play one character. The stakes are lower alongside the average player's skill level. Many casual players use Koa and other tournaments to learn and adapt, which I also do. However, there's a stark difference between these playstyles. The average player, unless striving to become a professional, will not play as well as some of the best professional players. This causes a higher expectation that casual players set for themselves, disliking how they play due to the bad habits they don't know how to get rid of, disliking how long it takes for them to learn a new character. There's a standard of quality that's too high for the casual player to reach, but there's an illusion in which they feel like they can. It's natural, this desire to be good, even great, at something that seems so unachievable. However, speaking from personal experience, it really affects your gameplay negatively. While learning a new skill, it's easy to get in your own head. I'm currently learning a hunter that is known for seeming easy but requiring a lot of skill to play efficiently. And it's degrading on the psyche. I watch the professional players that play that hunter, and despite knowing that she's difficult, and I've only been playing for a year, let alone my 3 months of inconsistently playing hunter, I judge myself. And I know what happens with other people I play with. Casual play is just that, casual. There's no cash prize at the end, there's no ridicule from the public. You just play. Sure, you can get a rude random person in your match who tells you that you're ass and you should never play again, and if you're in rank, you may lose a few points, but they're just like you, a casual player. There's low stakes, so crazy plays don't need to be attempted constantly or practiced. Like, it's not uncommon to see a triple tied Turner team in a comp. However, that does not mean it's a good team, just one that is reliable in turning to get a draw. Casual play is infinitely more rough around the edges than the majority of professional play you see, and that's fine. It's not a job for us, it's a game. If you are in rank and you're not performing as well as someone who is 2 tiers above you, it's because you aren't in that tier, and you haven't learned the skills necessary to be in that tier, and that's fine. IDV is not typically a mess of RNG, it's predominantly skill based, and with playing and learning, your skills grow. The game wasn't made with tourney in mind, and though I'm grateful for the tourney scene, it still impedes casual play with how praised it is, despite it being for entertainment and shouldn't be your only source of learning. Kuroshiro Gaming, Geisha Gaming, and Hikaru Identity 5 are all lovely resources. None of them being a professional player, the closest ties to it is Kuroshiro being a caster for the SEA at NEU tournaments. The reason why professional players seem so advanced compared to casual is simple. They're professional and have coaches. Certain regions, like Sea and Mainland, have more coaches available, the game being more popular there than it can ever be in Europe and North America. The NEU teams are sparse, and the coaches sparser, only really having 2 professional teams before you, now known as Rival, and Omni, both teams having only 1 coach, who occasionally subs in for missing players. Compare this to Japan's team Zeta, who has 2 coaches, or the Sea and Mainland team Glory, with 2 as well. Coaches are important. They're to coach their team. They're knowledgeable on both factions, as well as numerous mashups of characters, what counters which, and what have you. Some teams who have no coaches, such as Cat or RD, are known to occasionally struggle when their comfort picks are banned, making winning a difficult task. This does not mean they are unskilled, however. RD Dream being well known for their Mad Eyes gameplay, being possibly the strongest in the entirety of the competition. professional team, despite how I've been talking about them, does not mean everybody on that team is good. As I've briefly mentioned before, different regions are considered more skilled than others due to their player base. SEA, or Southeast Asia Division, have been known for its odd players, especially in this year's KOA, and C and Mainland are known for winning every single KOA, being consistently the most skilled region. NAU is a weird bunch. We are given the credit of RVL Sprinter, one of the best hunters in competition, however get clowned on for anything else, patriotism of sorts. This desire for a region to be the best is strong, despite the majority of regions sharing a server anyways, so it's not like it affects the actual game itself. Due to the mass amount of players on the Asian CN servers, there's a large pool of skill, which makes the average player on those servers more prepared to deal with different situations. NAU is known for its weaker all-around teams with great individual players, while other regions are skilled teams with a weak player or two, such as Dao 5 Yon, who is notorious for his weaker hunter gameplay. Certain regions also favor specific hunters and survivors over others. South Korea being a big fan of Fair Lady, while every other religion thinks she stinks, and truthfully she does. And South Korea totally disregarding Hullabaloo's place in the meta, seeing him as a secondary to other meta hunters have been increasingly weakened, like Ivy and Singria. Other regions, like NAU and CN, ban him alongside Goatman the second they can. South Korea prioritizes surprises and time stall more than other divisions, and CN Mainland and Japan relies on really strong first kites. Every region has their own areas of expertise, which makes the group stages of the tournament more interesting to watch. The only person here who has played since the release of Opera, Prospector has been the only viable harasser. What are specifically your thoughts on Opera and Ivy from the perspective of playing Prospector?
Opera, high key, when I saw her pre-nerf gameplay, I thought, oh my goodness gracious. What happened to IDV while I was too busy gooning on Team Fortress 2? But I actually started playing against Operas, and I did kind of flop the first few times because it's like, one, I'm still warming up to the game, okay? I just got here. But I don't know, eventually I kind of just realized like the patterns for shadows follow. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll broken windows cheese my way out of here. I'll
Yeah.
force her out of shadow form with my magnet, which is also why I think Prospector is also good against Opera because it forces her out into cooldown like that.
Yeah.
And then Ivy, okay, so see, the thing with Norton is you don't actually need to look behind you when you want to create distance with the hunter. Maybe you'll cancel attack recovery, but at least you'll be making distance in the process, right? So Ivy, already kind of strong against her there.
Yeah.
I've never canceled attack recovery against Ivy, for the record. I'm very good at this game.
And this is a question
Nope.
for all of you guys, actually. So, Eris, if you're able to unmute, um, what is
Hi.
everybody's thoughts on Hullabaloo?
Awful.
Let's go one by one.
Yeah, let's go
One
from
by
let's
one.
go let's go from
One
Nut
by one.
like Nut, Muff, Eris, Silas, okay?
Okay. Are we talking purely from like a meta standpoint or like
From gameplay
gameplay
and meta.
standpoint?
Gameplay, not lore,
Okay.
gameplay.
Okay.
Nut, do you want to go first?
Listen to me right now. Listen to me right now.
I'm
When I
listening.
say anyone and everyone who said he was going to be a draw hunter should be on their hands and knees kissing my toes right now because of how incredibly wrong they were. I've been saying from the start, since they dropped his kit in the teaser video, that is not a draw hunter. That lack of attack recovery is detrimental. Oh, but he actually needs 6 hits and 3 different particular colors in order to even land a hit on you. So actually, that stores for a lot of time. And if you learn how to, no, there is nothing you can do because Hullabaloo has everything at his disposal to get those 6 hits. He's got his clones. He can double ball you. What even is that? That shouldn't be allowed. Actually, Hullabaloo has no camping capability. Incorrect. 2 clones. He will double ball you and
He
then
does-
TS you.
He
And
does
do you know
not
what he gets in
need-
return? He gets no attack recovery. No attack recovery. He's always on your ass. He's always productive. The thing with Hullabaloo is He's scary because he's versatile with his builds. You can bring whatever the hell you want on him. Most definitely insolent, so you can get that dumb ass jump that'll get you anywhere you want. Jump over pallets. Don't feel like breaking a pallet? Jump over the pallet. You want to go across Moonlit River Park? Go across Moonlit River Park. That's not okay. No attack recovery. Insane map pressure, whatever pressure, like his mobility is insane, and it's just too much because he has nothing to stop him in between. The only animation you could ever possibly put him into is like a harasser stun or a pallet stun, and even then, he counters those harassers. You know what he? Oh, you're a prospector coming in for a magnet. Nuh-uh. Let me put you in my red section so you can't use your abilities. Actually, oh, you're a mercenary trying to elbow pad. Actually, no. You're in my red, so actually, I'm gonna cancel your elbow pad, and you won't get to elbow pad, but you'll still lose that elbow pad anyways.
Yep.
Yep, yep.
Yep.
Nothing counters him. If you are against a hullabaloo that can maximize everything, what can you do? There is nothing you can do. You cannot tell me, oh, actually, hullabaloo is cuttable. Just go in corners. You have not played against a good hullabaloo. A good hullabaloo would have downed you in 30 seconds. You can easily get countered by that. He has his rotation for a reason. He can rotate that little stage for a reason. He has his clones for a reason. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. Delete hullabaloo now. I hate that twink. I hate that Essler.
Moff, what are your thoughts on him?
Hullabaloo, sorry, I was so engrossed in Nut's very passionate speech.
Thank you.
Um, okay, so
High school.
when seeing Hullabaloo's trailer release for the first time, I was honestly kind of happy because I secretly wanted him to be broken because I genuinely really liked his design. The only problem that I saw from the start was the lack of attack recovery, as Nut very passionately stated. I it's the fact that he completely just you have no chance to breathe. You have no chance to think of, oh my god, where am I gonna go? You have no chance to take a second to really think about your routing or what to do. You essentially have to have your entire route planned the second you get heartbeat, because he is just so fast. He is the fastest moving hunter in the game. On top of the fact that he has no attack recovery, he can jump over everything and can jump up buildings. If you go up a set of stairs, he's already up there waiting for you. Um, Another thing that really bothers me with Hullabaloo is the red field.
Yeah.
I use flywheel on majority of my builds because it's just kind of what I started with. The only time I use broken windows is on Norton. It should probably be reversed with my Norton and Composer builds, but I don't care. Flywheel Composer, that's my build.
Reach, brother.
I it the fact that you as a survivor, you have your abilities to try and survive as much as you can. The second you're put in red, everything you can do is completely invalidated. You can't do anything but sit there and take it like a good boy. You cannot do
Oh.
anything.
High
You
school.
I cannot tell you how many times I have been so close to escaping the clutches of that greasy little hullabaloo, just to be told no because I'm put in red. I can't flywheel to that palette because I'm put in the color red. Um,
And not to mention, Redfield isn't even like flywheel isn't a control thing.
no.
I don't
It shouldn't be counted in his red thing. It's not a control trait. I
yeah.
don't understand it.
Same thing can be said about Anne, but we're not talking about her.
We're not talking
Okay,
about
Anne
her.
is evil
Anne's
and
not
play
real though. What are you talking
prospector.
about?
Yeah, Anne isn't even real. Who are
Anne
you
isn't even
talking
real.
about? Who is that
Two
flop?
Andrew. Boom. Easy
Ooh,
easy
he's
Yeah,
just a
easy.
bad
Easy, easy.
dream.
Blah, la, 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 la.
Blah, 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 blah. Eris, what's up with your thoughts on
Yeah.
Hullabaloo?
Okay. Um, kind of like I said earlier, one of my main problems with him is how he has no attack recovery, and it just kind of completely goes against game mechanics, kind of.
Yeah.
Like in some games, breaking game mechanics can be done really well. Games like IDV are not the one of those
Mhm.
games.
Mm.
Um, that's been an established thing
Yes, with
that
Ivy.
hunters can't just spam attacking. Yeah, hunters can't just spam attack. But God, whatever, I guess. Sorry, I have
Ah.
other points to make. I need to think.
Let's go. We can go
Um,
back to you.
Is that because he's so new, but still allowed to be in tourney, a lot of people haven't mastered him, so we get to see him flop a lot,
Yeah.
which I think is great. However, uh, asked me to go against a hullabaloo, and oh, I guess what a coincidence! My game crashed, and now I can't play. Wow, that's crazy.
Wow, it's actually updating. It's a hot fix right now. Wow.
Oh
Ooh.
wow.
dear.
Yeah,
Whoa. It's actually downloading a bunch of files. Sorry.
Oh man. Oh, we have to restart the game to implement the updates. Oh man.
Oh
yeah,
man.
man,
Oh
Oh,
that really
man.
shucks.
sucks.
Oh
Guess I
man.
can't play
Oh
against
no.
hullabaloo.
Oh no, why
Oh.
is The Sims 4 opening up? Oh
Oh
no, what's
no.
happening to my
Why
computer?
why am I playing
Oh
corn right
no.
now? Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh, it's such a
Why am I on
shame.
Hawkeye Star Rail? Oh no.
Oh. Oh no.
Oh no. Whatever will I do?
Like I
Same thing
genuinely
with Goatman.
yeah, Goatman, well, at least Goatman, it like he takes a degree of skill. It's just how cheesy he is. Um Hullabaloo's
Goatman I can accept
skillless.
because he takes it. Hullabaloo, auto clicker on your right hand, jork it with your left hand, and you win. Easy
Average of
guaranteed
50,
draw 3K or 4K.
average of
Like
50 hits per match.
D-
look at those stats, brother. That cannot be right. And again, I'm sorry. I'm not. I just need to bring up the point. Why are all the Hullabaloo S badges in Manticore? That should be a very clear indicator of Hullabaloo's issue, NetEase. Please do something. Stop nerfing Norton. Stop creating hunters like Hullabaloo. Nerf mechanic. Stop nerfing everyone. Kill Hullabaloo. Burn him at the stake right now with Wax Artist. I hate that guy. I hate both of them. They can die. They need
Hullabaloo
to
Um,
die.
sucks nerf mechanic.
Yes.
um, I
It's like
have
wearing a
one
shirt
of
with
my other
oh
points.
yes, go ahead.
Okay, another issue I have with Hullabaloo is like how Moth mentioned how he can like jump over pallets and walls and stuff. And it's like it works with Ithaqua for an example, because he has to like get his wind charges up and stuff, and like
There's
the
a
dashes
trade-off.
is separate from the
Mm.
jumping window. Yeah, the dashes that he can do are separate from like the uh thing where he's able to jump over pallets and stuff. But Michelangelo Morton over here
Michael
can jump over
Fitzgerald
the
Morton.
walls, he can jump over pallets. Like Moff said, he can just jump up the stairs. And on top of that, he's the fastest character in the game. So you can't just run.
Yeah.
And also how, all the hunters are separated to like chasing characters and like chair camping and stuff, and the other category I forget.
Yeah.
Um uh he Hullabaloo is able to do like all of them in a way,
Yeah.
like with chair camping, how he can just set up his clones or whatever they are and stuff, and then just attack, and like chasing
Uh-huh.
fastest character in the game, jumping over stuff. It's unfair. Tia should PMO me off, as the kids say.
Kill him now. Kill him now.
Like
Every
Execute him
time,
now.
every
Cinema?
time I feel I have, every time I go up against a hullabaloo or like I have to rescue from one, which isn't that often because he's always banned in rank, and the only time I see them in a quick match is like they're just bad because they don't know what they're doing. Every time I have had to rescue against a hullabaloo, they see me approaching and they just set up the clone and stare at me like, I dare you, get the rescue, like they're good, because they know that the camping is like crazy. And in tourney, you can see that hullabaloos can just play Dead by Daylight. They can just play a completely different game
They
because
can, yep.
his kit is just so unbelievably broken. He can get from one side of the map to another instantaneously. It doesn't matter to him.
If I recall correctly, in a recent video, Zeus has actually just straight up said that Hullabaloo is a Dead by Daylight hunter, which I actually completely agree with
Yeah.
because of how just brain dead his playstyle is. And this is no diss, well, it kind of is, but it's like no diss on like DBD fans because like I get it. That's kind of like the father game of IDV. Dead by Daylight devs did help make it, but it's like at the end of the day, there's a
They're
reason why
completely
Dead by
different
Daylight doesn't
games.
have a comp
Yeah.
main. and it's like Dead by Daylight meta compared to IDVs and how it's different, especially with hunters. Um, Hullabaloo is just
Like and
straight up a Dead
subscribe
by
for more
Daylight hunter,
content.
which is why he's so annoying because we have such a simplified system compared to Dead by Daylight, and then you put a hunter in which you can't do anything. God, I hate that thing.
Also, another thing you see it with the X meta. Well, I mean, I'm not saying they are meta. Well, when you see it with older meta hunters like Opera and Sangria, at least over time their effect has lessened, albeit they have received nerfs. But you come to realize there's kind of like a gameplay style or a kiting style you can do to have a chance against them. Hullabaloo, what game style could you possibly do to get a draw against a hullabaloo that knows what they're doing?
Mm-hmm.
Can I constant rotation? I can't. He moves. He is the fastest moving hunter right behind the Dream Witch body. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Do I double rush a cipher? No, he's gonna come and tickle this pickle and go back to camping the chair in point 0.2 seconds because he has jump. Do I tight kite him? I can't tight kite him. He's gonna clone me and I'm gonna get tickled. Do I transition? I already mentioned his speed and transitioning abilities. What do you want me to do?
As well as I have to mention that the trade-off for how fast Dreamwitch main body is that she can't attack the survivors on her own. Like that's the
She has
trade-off.
to move fast because she is a map control hunter. She has to move fast. Hullabaloo has no reason to be moving that fast. He is a regular base hunter like everyone else and their grandma. You already have your jumps, little boy. You are so greedy. You are the greed they talked about in the Bible. Give some speed to the rest of us. And by the rest of us, I mean Fool's Gold.
IDV's meta will always affect casual gameplay, because if a character is strong in casual, it'll be strong in professional as well. It is not up to us to decide what is or isn't meta, we're just here to state what's good against what. By constantly following meta to a T, it prevents the fun aspects of IDV from shining through, making the game solid and boring. Persuadable, who is almost a grandfather of IDV content creation, left a few years ago and recently came back. However, he stated how boring the meta became. At the time being Ivy Sangria, Ivy Sangria, Ivy Sangria, etc., etc., etc. It got boring, and because of the repetition, many players who watch tourneys right out the gate like I did don't learn how to play against niche hunters, especially double hits. I'm lucky enough to have a group of friends who are all fairly well versed in the game who help me learn how to play against niche picks like Ripper or Dreamwitch, but not everybody has this chance. By using competitive gameplay as the baseline of what to do and what not to do, we prevent people from learning how casual players act. Competitive requires riskier builds occasionally, like Tide needs your composer or a 3-tide team, where casual does not demand that you go for risky plays. They're going against the best of the best, and you're playing against a Tesco cashier on their break. A casual player does not often have the same game sense as a professional player, and by expecting the skill of others and yourself, you only end up messing with your head. The competitive scene is still good, and it does still help with understanding the game and specific mechanics. However, the bar is far too high to consider it your main learning material. All in all, learning both through tourney and actual gameplay, even if it's just practicing customs with friends, is the best way to learn, even the niche hunters.